Hey friend, welcome back. Today's conversation is around misunderstandings and shadow work. One of the things that happens with our day-to-day experience with other people, with the transiting system, with situations that take place in our world is a lot of times they cause pain. We're always trying to seek pleasure, and when we are seeking pleasure, we are usually trying to run away from pain. And that pain, anytime there was a painful situation, the mind always wants to interpret. That is its job. The mind always wants to create a narrative around, well, was this good or was this bad? That's what the mental construct is designed to do. And then if it was bad, there's this subconscious, kind of file that goes in and says, listen, I don't ever want to have this physical body go through that painful emotion again. So we need to be able to, block this physical body from interacting with anything that may bring pain in the future. And because of that block, we hold ourselves back from the pain. Because if you look at the emotional center, and if you look at emotional intelligence, what emotional intelligence is trying to get us to recognize is that every emotion, whether it be a really dense emotion, if you look at David Hawkins' frequency chart, every emotion is serving a purpose. Okay, every emotion is serving a purpose. And once we understand and we get to the deeper desire of each one of those frequencies, then we can actually move through the block. Okay, so I'll just give you an example. So say you are stuck in a block, and that block is self-doubt, right? You're doubting your abilities, you're doubting your talents, you're doubting because it's when we look at self-doubt, we look at the logical. And what is the logical? Well, the logical is patterns, the logical is talent, the logical is vitality. Anytime you look at the left side of the body graph, you want to look at it through the lens of the splenic center. You want to look at the root center and how those adrenal glands are fueling that energy system. And you want to look all the way up through the throat center, all the way up into the ajna in the head center. You want to look at the identity center. You want to just take a look at the entire logical circuit and go, oh, well, if I'm in self-doubt, I'm probably holding myself back from my own talent. Okay. And why that happens, okay, if we look at the 58-18, 48-16, I work a lot on the outside of the body graph, because the outside of the body graph seems to, really sandwich in so much of our human existence, that collective experience. And when we look at that logical stream that goes through there, what's happening is that we are designed to deeply lean into our own skill set, our own talents. Okay, so yes, we can learn a plethora of things and gain lots of wisdom about a lot of things in our lives. But what is that, what is that, that real talent in space that you enjoy being in? Because logic actually starts off with joy. It actually starts off with the space that, fills, this space of, I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to put joy and effort into it because I enjoy it. And if we look at something like self-doubt as an example, usually self-doubt and logic is comparing. Okay, it's comparing. Again, 5818 is judgment. It's not about the judgment. It's not supposed to be the judgment of, good, bad, right, wrong. It's the judgment of the differences. Oh, there's a difference here. That's all that judgment is designed for in human design. Okay. But the conditioned mind wants to compare. Oh, I am not as good as so-and-so. So because of that comparison, there becomes a narrative in the conditioned mind. Okay. The shadow starts to creep in. And what will most likely happen, for example, with the self-doubt example, is now all of a sudden the narrative is trying to beat you up, okay, and is trying to motivate you in a really unhealthy way. Well, you have to get better. You have to do this. Oh, well, if you just did this, then that. Anytime you hear, if you just do this, then that, you know that it is the shadow and the conditioned mind. Okay. So once we pull ourselves back and we start to recognize what is the narrative, what is the misunderstanding that the mind translated about the situation, and then provided a subconscious block to moving forward. Because motivation isn't about using that negative aspect to catapult us into the next best thing for us. No, what human design teaches, and same with Gene Keys, is that there is this process of self-compassion. Oh, I had this experience and my coach told me I wasn't good enough. And when my coach told me I wasn't good enough, like, let's say, you're playing a sport or a teacher or a parent. Now, all of a sudden, I took that, oh, you're not good enough, and I made it into a negative narrative in the mind. And I don't ever want to feel like I'm not good enough. So if I don't ever want to feel like I'm not good enough ever again, then I will never actually apply my skills and talents. Because the minute I do that, then there's going to be a comparison and judgment in the world. And if I do that and someone judges me, then that pain is going to come back. So the subconscious mind is like, nope, this physical body, I don't want this physical body to ever feel that pain. So we need to keep the physical body in a space where there's no pain, because pain might lead to death. That's what the mind really is scared of, that it won't have a vehicle, a bioform to be with, to navigate this earth plane with. So the subconscious, anytime there's this painful situation that takes place, the subconscious puts that in its file folder and says, okay, we're going to block that from ever showing up in this bioform again, which then causes a massive comfort zone. It causes patterns, behavioral patterns, mental patterns, all kinds of different patterns to, circumvent ever bumping up against that pain again. Okay. So what is important when you're working with a coach, or when you're working with quote unquote mindset? You want to be able to change your relationship with the block. Okay. And once you change the relationship with the block, because it is seeing it. So behavior patterns are going to be very difficult to change when we are trying to motivate ourselves through the shadow aspect, through the conditioning, right? If we're trying to motivate ourselves and say, well, you have to be better because people are going to compare you and judge you, and try to motivate that way, that's when everything starts to get wonky. And then we really have to, quote unquote, work hard to try to overcome the obstacle. But we can only get so far, and poof, it pulls us back into this pattern behavior, these mental, conditioned thoughts that go on. So when you're working with your blocks, okay, when you're working with this kind of stuff in your human design, because strategy and authority is excellent, okay, it's excellent. It is a perfect guide to help you navigate this earth plane. However, the subconscious blocks that are sitting in the bioform, okay, because they will sit in the bioform. It's going to stop the correct chemicals from flowing in your body. It's going to stop the correct nervous synapses from happening. It's going to stop the immune system from doing what it needs to do. It's going to stop the lymphatic system. The organs are not going to function correctly. All of these things start to take place. Here I am, I have glasses on, and I recognize that, the eyes are so deeply connected to the liver. So watching how, as I decondition the liver, what my expectation, and I shouldn't probably have expectation, but I am anticipating that I will be able to take these glasses off and be able to see back to 20/20 vision that I had, less than 2 years ago. So it's recognizing that anytime there's a block, anytime something's going on, it resides in the bioform, because the bioform is very sensitive. And then we don't move forward. So how can you, move past some of your blocks? I am going to share with you a process that I use, and I use with my clients, and I also utilize this material because of the coaching program that I did with Alyssa Nobringa. So what she calls it is a deeper desire. So you want to get really to the point where you understand what outer block gets in your way of achieving the life that you really know that you can live. Okay. So I want to go back a little bit here. And you can see this however you want to see it. I just want to share how I see it. I see that the consciousness field is this neutrality. Okay. It's neutral. Everything is available. It's like sacred geometry. It's the energy field, it's frequencies, it's sound, it's, it is all, and it is nothing all at the same time. And then we get to translate it through, evil or God. That's how I see it. We get to, use satanic rituals, or we get to use God's word to build and create on this 3D plane. So what you want to do is really recognize when you're not moving forward with your manifestations, because everything is moving to the throat. Absolutely everything in human design is moving to the throat. Manifestation, action, all of that is taking place through the throat center. And if life is really overwhelming, if the manifestations of whether that be money, relationships, health, wellness, business, all of that stuff, if it's not taking place, we want to look at, okay, what is stopping the correctness of your manifestation process and your action? And usually it is a subconscious block. Okay. So you want to get really clear on what's the block, what is the behavior that is, stopping the momentum forward. Now, again, we have motivation in human design, but motivation really, and I've said this in a few other videos, and I know that I'm going to probably get pushback about it, but motivation really doesn't take hold until the Chiron return, because it's not designed for that. We are Uranian beings that have this longer life cycle. So we are designed to, work through the primary health system and the environment from 0 to 30. That perspective really starts to come on board from 30 to 50. And then after 50 is when the motivation really comes online. Okay. So what we want to do is understand, what is that outer block? Is it procrastination? Or is it, busy work? What is going on that is holding you back from the manifestation? And then you really want to get clear, well, what is the judgment around it? Okay, because now we're starting to lean into if this outer behavior is happening, there is going to be a judgment inside of your conditioned mind that is judging you for this behavior. But what is doing that judgment, what that judgment is doing, is actually trying to motivate you in an incorrect way. So then you want to really get compassionate about changing your relationship to the block, okay? Because you want to get compassionate with, okay, well, what is the procrastination? What is it really showing me? You want to get really clear. Oh, the procrastination is showing me that I sit in this self-doubt. Okay, well, why is the self-doubt there? Then you want to get deeply compassionate. And what coaching really is it's a feedback loop. And you can coach yourself by being able to be your own investigator and start to really investigate. Well, this sensation feels like procrastination. And when I feel this procrastination, I judge myself as being lazy. But when you really go deeper, oh, that procrastination is there because I'm doubting myself, because there has been this comparison on the outside conversation at some time, probably as a young child. And that comparison now has me doubting my capacity, my abilities. Okay. So now what you get to do is you get to, once that whole situation is pulled apart and seen for what it is, you can do things like hypnotherapy and hypnotize yourself and start to recognize that's not me. That is not me. I have compassion for my subconscious mind holding on to that, but that's not me. That's no longer me. So now what you want to do is you want to create a new strategy to attain your deeper desire without using the block as an ineffective approach to get there. Okay. So instead of doubting yourself and judging that pattern, you can create like a 30-day game plan. And I know you're like, but Leann, what about my strategy and authority? This goes beyond strategy and authority, because what this does is it starts to clean out the cellular structure. So that as you clean out the cellular structure, that's what shadow work is. That's what deconditioning is. You start to take these things out of the centers. You start to take these things out of your cells. You start to take these things out of all of that openness. And now as you deconstruct and start to recognize when procrastination shows up, self-doubt is like right behind there. And when self-doubt is right behind there, well, it's a comparison and a judgment. So recognizing that that judgment isn't you. It's not you. It was an outside not self that was translated and stuck in your subconscious mind as self. Okay? So now you get to decondition and pull that out. That's not me. That comparison is not me. The voice that showed up that said you are not as good as, you know, your fellow coworker or your fellow student or your fellow team member, whatever that looks like. And the minute that that comparison come up, recognize that's not you. That is not you. So now you get to play with these things differently and move that subconscious block out of the way and recognize and let it know that now you're in this space that you are in this capacity to, you know, share with the world, to support your fractal line, to empower others and be self-empowered in your momentum forward. And the more self-talk around that, and talking through your gift, talking through the highest level of who you are and what you are. You know, I remind myself, I'm a charismatic teacher who, you know, shares life cycles, who shares cycles with my fractal line. You know, I'm here to be on this contagion. And it's excellent that I get to do that. So it's around the self-talk and the narrative. Now you get to re-hypnotize yourself, because We were hypnotized in an incorrect misunderstanding. So now you get to hypnotize yourself to the truth of who you are, right? To the truth. Now, I don't talk much about cities because that really is an internal game. When you're emanating that frequency, okay, you're emanating it, but you're still sharing your gifts and bumping into those shadows as you walk along your path so that you can increase that frequency of the city. And the city is yours. You know, the gift for me, the gift is the gift for everyone else. But the city is yours. The city is yours to just sit in that frequency and recognize that shadows are going to pop up. Then you can move into the gift, and then that city again, it's like this feedback loop. Then you get to feel that city in your cellular structure. If we look at this through the lens of human design, we can go, here's all the openness, okay? I am designed to receive that openness. You have a magnetic monopole that attracts. Whether you are a manifester, whether you are a projector, a reflector, a manifesting generator, or a generator, you are an attraction factor. That's what the monopole is doing. And it is attracting all of that stuff that isn't in your chart, all of that white space. Those are other people. Those are frequencies. Those are transits. You're designed to attract that so that you can then teach and offer your gifts, your strengths, your attributes, your skills, your talent. Now you get to offer that to the other person. And when you leave the, as you clean out the shadow and the conditioned aspect, that receptivity is able to then just move through you. You don't have to hold on to it and think, oh, that's me. And then beat yourself up internally in your mind around that aspect. Okay. So I hope that this has helped you understand that there are misinterpretations that the mind does. That's why we don't want the quote unquote mind to make our decisions, because the mind kind of gets caught up in trying to save you from pain and yet holding you back from pleasure. We want to trust the physical body, but the physical body still needs to be cleaned out. So it is this, catch-22, or, it looks like a hamster wheel. We need to do them both simultaneously so that we are emptying out the cellular structure. Okay. And as we empty out the cellular structure, and as we are these receptive beings that just attract in what is correct for us, and we can notice, okay, what is defined in my body graph is me. This is my representation. Everybody else has their own representation. And then I just get to learn from it. I get to learn from it. That's what I love about the mentorship group, is when we're all having a conversation, we get to see, how are you representing your chart? When you're looking at a chart and we're analyzing a chart, how does each person's differentiated perspective show up for that chart to be interpreted? Okay, so there's so much playing that you can do. But it is first to recognize that anytime you are feeling blocked, that you're not moving forward, that, you're setting these goals, or, you're doing all this visualization work and nothing shows up, it's not showing up, and it's getting really frustrating, and, you're bitter. It's to recognize that you need the time and space and the compassion to change your relationship to the block, because that block was put there most likely, again, from a painful situation. So through that pain, you want to have compassion, right? You want to have compassion for most of humanity that are not a sociopath. Recognize when someone else is in pain, and we want to, go over and help those people that are hurting. We want to hold them. We want to, give them a space to heal. So this is the exact same thing with your subconscious blocks, is that compassion allows that aspect to, have felt the hurt, but now have this deep compassion seep through that hurt and recognize that that was not you. Because that narrative is holding you back, that's not you. Okay, that's not you. So again, you can self-hypnotize yourself into different conversations in the mind. One of, as I get closer to my Chiron, I recognize hope way more. I lean into hope a lot more. I recognize that, for a long time in my life, I was in the transference of guilt. And I was trying to, quote unquote, save so many human beings and trying to save the world. The world doesn't need saving. The world really desires that each one of us is emanating a higher frequency. And when we emanate a higher frequency, then we're lifting that frequency band for everyone. And higher frequencies, they will pull those dense frequencies up. Okay. So we want to bring this entrainment to a different level of frequency. And we can do that by first being compassionate with those blocks, because those blocks were trying to keep us alive. So, recognizing all of the fear gates, the spleen, the ajna, the solar plexus. I think I have a YouTube video about it. I probably do somewhere. If not, I know for sure it's in the self-study, and I explain it like deeply in the self-study. But recognizing that fear is designed to move into awareness. Fear is designed to move into a space of awareness. And in my experience, in how I've seen the last 3 years, how I've seen the last long time after the last 3 years, is that for the most part, governments and large organizations and the media have really kept human beings in a space of fear without any transition or transformation of that fear into an awareness. So again, there was a great awakening that took place in the last 3 years, because that fear catapulted it. Now, there's still a lot of people still stuck in the fear. And when you have people stuck in the fear, just like the unconscious, subconscious, blocks that are happening here, when you have human beings stuck in fear, they will not move forward into a manifestation that is beneficial for everyone. Okay? So just recognize that fear is designed to move into awareness. And from awareness, now you get to actually use your design, your gene keys, your rave psychology to move you into a space that you get to manifest, that you get to take action, that you get to communicate your outer authority, that you get to be this magician of our 3D plane using the correctness of who you are. All right. Have fun, friends.